The noon sun spilled through La Verona's glass walls, gilding every wine glass and whispered secret. Waiters darted like chess pieces, but all movement stopped when a little girl, no older than 10, sat alone at table 5, her hands folded neatly, her dress pressed, her silence too heavy for a child. Across the room, Marcus Webb, the new floor manager, snapped, "That table's reserved for paying guests." His tone cut clean through the chatter. Every customer looked away. Everyone except Ava Chen, who was already walking toward the girl. "She's waiting for her father," Ava said, voice steady but low. Marcus smirked. "Then she can wait outside." Something shifted. Glasses froze midair. Ava didn't move aside. "She's a child," she said quietly. "Not a problem to be removed." The room held its breath. And in that silence, a shadow crossed the marble floor. A tall man in a charcoal suit, his voice like ice. "Is that how you treat my daughter?" What happened next would change La Verona forever. Stay till the end. And subscribe to Acts of Kindness Stories, where one brave choice can rewrite a life. Under the golden lights of La Verona, silence hit harder than the clatter of broken glass. The tall man's voice sliced through the air, calm but cold. "Is that how you treat my daughter?" His words carried weight heavier than the marble floor beneath them. Marcus froze mid-breath, the color draining from his face. The waitress, Ava Chen, still stood between them, unsure if she had just saved a child or ruined her life. Victoria Duca didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. The air itself obeyed him. His daughter Emilia stepped closer, her small hand trembling as she reached for her father's sleeve. "Daddy, she helped me." The room held its breath. The manager stammered, "Mr. Duca, I didn't know." But the man's gaze shut him down like a locked vault. "You didn't need to know. You needed to have decency." He turned to Ava, eyes steady, unreadable. "You defended her." Ava nodded once. "Then you did more than most people in this room." By the next morning, Ava was gone. Fired. The manager called it insubordination, the regional office called it policy, and the city called it nothing at all. She packed her things into a cardboard box and walked home through the early rain. For 2 years, she had smiled through condescension and quiet humiliation. Now she had nothing left except her conviction that she'd done the right thing. Across the city, in a penthouse high above the skyline, Victoria Duca sat at his dining table, his daughter silent beside him. The morning news whispered about an incident at La Verona. A waitress dismissed. A manager praised for order. But Emilia didn't eat. Her spoon rested still. "She was kind, Papa," she murmured. "She didn't yell. She just helped." Victoria's hand stilled above his coffee. For months since his wife's death, his daughter hadn't spoken more than a few words at a time. Now, her voice carried warmth again, because of a stranger. He made a call. Find out everything about the waitress from yesterday. Hours later, Ava sat in her small apartment when a knock echoed through the door. A man in a black suit stood outside, holding a cream envelope sealed with wax. "Miss Chen, Mr. Duca requests your presence." Her pulse raced. "Why?" The man simply said, "Gratitude." Inside the envelope was a letter offering her a position as an internal auditor at Duca Holdings. $85,000 a year, full benefits. Made no sense. But something in the paper's weight, in the signature inked with precision, told her it was real. She had no reason to trust him. But somehow she wanted to. The next morning, the elevator doors opened into a marble lobby that smelled of leather and espresso. Victoria Duca stood by the window, hands clasped behind his back, the city sprawling beneath him. "Miss Chen," he said, "you've been given a raw deal. I'd like to offer you something better." "You don't know me," she replied. He turned, studying her the way a man studies a chessboard. "I know integrity when I see it. You stood up for a child who wasn't yours. In my world, that's rare." The offer was simple. Help him audit his restaurant division. He suspected something was wrong. Money missing, books too perfect. "If you find something," he said quietly, Tell me the truth, even if it's about my own family." 3 weeks later, Ava's desk overflowed with ledgers and invoices. Numbers danced across her computer screen, patterns too neat to be accidental. She found 3 companies: Castellano Imports, Meridian Supplies, Verde Gourmet, all receiving identical payments of $47,000, spaced weeks apart. On paper they were legitimate. But the money circled back to one bank in Delaware. Shell. Her stomach tightened. Someone inside Duca Holdings was laundering money. Someone close. That evening, Victoria summoned her to his office. Emilia was there too, drawing quietly by the window. "You found something," he said, not as a question. Ava nodded. "It's deep. Whoever's behind it has access to executive authorization." Victoria leaned forward. "Only 3 people have those codes. Myself, my CFO, and my cousin Marco." The name lingered in the air like smoke. Marco, smooth, confident, always around, always smiling too wide. The kind of man who shook your hand and checked your wallet afterward. Frank Moretti, the head of internal security, joined them. "If Marco's involved, we'll need proof," he said. Ava spread the documents on the table, each page a piece of the puzzle. "He's been using shell companies to siphon millions," she said. 18 months. $23 million. Victoria's jaw tightened. "That money feeds my daughter's school, my employees' paychecks. He's been stealing from our family." The next days blurred into sleepless nights. Ava traced transactions through offshore accounts, pulling threads until the entire scheme unraveled. Each discovery cut deeper, revealing betrayal wrapped in loyalty. Marco had even orchestrated the La Verona incident to humiliate Victoria, using a child as bait to make him look weak. When confronted with evidence, Marco laughed. "You think you can touch me? I built half this empire. Without me, you're just another sentimental fool playing businessman." Victoria's voice dropped to a whisper. "Without honor, you're nothing." They gathered the evidence for the shareholders' meeting. Ava was terrified. "I'm not a speaker," she said. "They won't listen to me." "They will," Victoria said, "because you're the only one who doesn't want anything." The meeting room shimmered with power and quiet menace. Marco arrived late, smirking, accompanied by Vincent Castellano, the crime boss funding his betrayal. Cameras flashed. Shareholders murmured. Ava stood, trembling, but when she spoke, her voice carried strength she didn't know she had. "For months, money vanished under your trust," she said. "It didn't disappear. It was stolen." Screens lit up with documents, routing numbers, photographs, transfers, meetings with Castellano. Gasps filled the room. Marco stood. "These are lies. She's manipulating the data." "Then explain this," Ava replied, clicking to a photo of him signing property transfers into his own name. "2 restaurants sold to your partners last month." The silence that followed was final. "Security," Victoria said evenly. "Remove him." Marco's mask cracked. "You'll regret this, cousin. You can't erase blood." "No," Victoria said, "but I can clean it." As security dragged him out, shareholders erupted into applause. Justice, quiet, corporate, brutal, had finally arrived. Weeks later, La Verona reopened under new ownership. Ava's. Victoria handed her the deed himself. "You defended my daughter when no one else would. Now this place belongs to someone who understands courage." Emilia ran to her, holding a drawing. 3 people at a dinner table, smiling. "It's us," she said. "My family." For the first time, Ava didn't feel small. She wasn't a waitress anymore. She was the woman who turned kindness into change, who stood against cruelty and reshaped an empire built on fear. Outside, the sign glowed under the evening sky. La Verona, where courage begins. And somewhere far away, behind bars and headlines, Marcus Webb, the manager who started it all, gave his first statement to the press. "I thought power meant control. Turns out, real power belongs to people who do what's right." Inside the restaurant, Laughter echoed across the same marble floor that had once known silence. The girl was safe. The villain was gone. And the woman who dared to stand up when it mattered most finally stood tall. The night settled softly over the city, the lights of La Verona glowing like small promises through the glass. Ava stood by table 5, the plaque catching the reflection of her smile. For the first time, she wasn't serving anyone. She was leading something built from kindness, not fear. Across the room, Victoria watched quietly, pride hidden behind his usual composure, while Amelia laughed with the new staff, kids once too afraid to dream now wearing aprons of their own. The past no longer haunted them. It had become their foundation. Ava had learned that truth doesn't always roar. It stands firm, even when everything else falls apart. And when people choose courage over silence, even the coldest places can feel warm again. As the last guests left, Ava turned off the lights, leaving only the soft glow from the plaque, where courage begins. It wasn't just a restaurant anymore. It was proof that doing what's right can rebuild lives. If stories like this remind you that kindness still changes the world, give this video a like, share it with someone who believes in second chances, and subscribe to Acts of Kindness Stories for more true tales of courage and redemption.